Welcome to the Selling Show, where we unpack, repack, and break down exactly how top experts sell their ideas, their value, and their services. This is your host, David Newman, and you are in the right place if you want better clients, bigger deals, and higher fees. You may not be as referable as you think. And that's a problem. If you're a consultant, if you're a trusted advisor, luckily, Taz Sadhukhan is here. She's going to straighten you out. She's going to straighten you out right here, right now. Taz, welcome to the Selling Show.
David, thank you so much for having me here. I'm very excited to be talking to you today about referability.
So you have quite the entrepreneurial background. The highs, the lows, the victory, the defeat, you name it. Give us a little bit of the backstory of your professional journey and some interesting pit stops along the way that brought you to your current work.
Sure. So I used to work in corporate. I was a Wall Streeter, left Wall Streeter for lots of different reasons, but then realized I didn't want someone else putting a value on what I was worth. So I became an entrepreneur. It was about 22 years ago. So that was a long time ago. I met up with my current business partner, Jay Kingley, and Centricity came out of something that Jay and I built, believe it or not, in the healthcare industry. We had built a multi-million-dollar, multi-location medical weight loss company, and it was the largest of its kind in the US. And that, has its own little backstory that I'm not going to get into. But I think the unique thing about what we had done is in healthcare, we had built it 100% based on referrals. We were considered specialists. And let me tell you, getting referrals in the healthcare industry it's not easy. And you're either in the club or you're not in the club. And if you're not in the club, you need to figure out how to get in it if you want it to survive. Because the healthcare is based 100% on referrals. That's how you make or break your business. And I think it's one of the very few industries where if you want to help the masses, you need to take insurance. You're not in control of how much you get paid. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. Like, what determines what you get paid is the health insurance plan the patient has, the health insurers, what they're going to pay you. And you actually don't even know what you're going to get paid till you see the patient. So you really need to figure out how to have a client acquisition system at the lowest cost with the highest conversion rates, because revenues can be all over the place on any given month because you just don't control it. You just don't have that luxury that consultants do of simply raising your rates because you just don't like what the revenues look like that day. So when that ran its course, we exited, and Jay and I, who are not people who simply sit idly by, looked at what the unique skill set that we had learned over the course of our business was. And it was building a brand in our space that became very referable, which allowed us to generate the inbound leads on a consistent basis. And that's key. A lot of people will say they generate referrals, but the question is, how consistent are they? Or are they one here, one there? I mean, that's not going to build a sustainable referral-based business. So we set up a consulting company, which is Centricity, where we help the B2B expert-based businesses do what we did for ourselves, which was build that referable brand in our niche. We do have a specialty in helping those that have left corporate and have become a consultant or a fractional CXO. And as I like to joke, they're too young to retire. And unfortunately, not so jokingly, too old to hire, because ageism, unfortunately, is a real thing in this country. They still have a lot of good years left with a lot of wisdom to share. And I want to take a moment to be clear that when I say referable, I'm not just talking about generating referrals. And that's one of the big mistakes that people make. That's just one aspect of being referable. I'm talking about a whole mindset and positioning that comes with being referable. So people are talking about you the way you want them to when you're not in the room.
Let's talk about what are the building blocks. I know that your tagline is be remarkably referable. People listening like, yes, I'm tired of just taking what comes, and occasionally I get referrals, but I don't have my hand on the wheel. I can't control. I'm not proactive. When referrals come, great. When they don't come, I don't know what to do. So talk about what are the various building blocks that you share with your clients and your audiences? What do we need to start looking at that we might not think is directly related to being referable or generating a referral system, if you will, but that's really, really important?
So one of the key things is your positioning. And a lot of people talk about their positioning, and you know this from the work that you do, it's not differentiated. So you can differentiate yourself and that's fine. But then the question is, well, how are you talking about yourself? What's your messaging? Are you just regurgitating? So you positioned yourself as having a niche, but then are you just really just regurgitating what everybody else says? Are you copy and pasting the next person? Are you Googling and that's your insight of the day? Your message has to be insightful. Your message has to inspire action. And it's not hard. There are a lot of people that do it that, are average people. And I think consultants feel, well, if I don't have a PhD or an MBA, then I can't create insightful insights, but you actually can. We use the Simon Sinek story. He's just an average guy who created an insight on, your why. And there he is. Everybody refers to him, right? When you talk about your why, you know who it came from. So it's not hard. You can't do it on your own because you cannot see the forest. You're always in the weeds and trees. So you need someone else to hear what you're saying and pull it out of you. And then it's, how are you building your network ecosystem and how are you staying top of mind? And how are you making your professional network not about you and making it about them? And I think that's where a lot of people just fail. They think it's them and giving them business when it's about making them the hero in their journey of helping somebody else solve somebody else's problem. So those would be the three things, which is getting your positioning right. And yes, defining your niche, having messaging that's insightful and not just pablum and gibberish and not a copy and paste. But the third thing is having the right networking ecosystem and the mindset to make sure that you are helping them be the hero of their journey and not thinking that they're helping you build their business or build your business.
Yes, for sure. Well, I want to just take off on this hero idea because every story that has a hero also has a villain. So people listening, they might say, okay, I have to be insightful. I have to have an opinion. I have to have a point of view. Taz, what if not everyone loves my point of view? What if I upset some people? What if some people disagree with me? What if some people just get so irritated that they might have been a prospect, but now they'll never do business with me because of something I said or an insight I shared? How do you get people to be braver and to be bolder, to really stand for something in their industry or within their area of expertise?
So I point out to all of the great people, and I'm going to put you into this bucket, right? Because if you don't stand for something, you don't stand for anything. So all of the people, Gary Vee, Simon Sinek, even you, David, we all stand for something. We can't be everything to everybody. And if you are going to be referable, you have to just get over yourself. You have to have an opinion, because if you don't have an opinion, then you're just one of the sheep. You're just being herded with the entire sheep. If you want to be the black sheep, people talk about the black sheep. They don't talk about the white sheep. So you just have to get over yourself if you want to be a part of the 2%. The 2% don't care.
Wow, that's very powerful. The 2% don't care. By the way, I just want the listeners to know, I just got an even. So we're talking about Simon Sinek, Gary Vee, even you, David. I mean, even little David Newman knows this. So thank you for the even. Any day I'm mentioned with those two guys is a pretty good day. Holy smokes, so much value in this episode. Listen, if you are loving what you're hearing, feel free to download, subscribe, tell a friend, leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to The Selling Show. Now, back to the interview. Let's talk about haters, because I'm guessing at some point, if you really stand for something and then you stand against some things, right? Stop doing this wrong. Stop believing in these myths. So you're out there upsetting the apple carts strategically You are choosing your point of view as a professional, as a trusted advisor and a consultant. How do we get over wanting to be liked? Because even on an individual level, I'm talking to a prospect. I want to make sure they like me. And there's the old cliche about know, like, and trust. If I say something, they're not going to like me. They're not going to trust me because I disagree with them on some foundational belief that they have that might be holding them back, by the way. How do we get that bravery of the 2% don't care?
Great question. So first, to address the know, like, and trust. I do not believe in know, like, and trust.
Ooh, there's a myth busting right there. Please say more.
Don't. Because like is not about you. Like is about the person that you're talking to. So they need to feel that you like them and that they're important. It doesn't matter if they like you or not. If you can make them feel important, and that's where I think people get know, like, and trust wrong. It's like is about the person that you're talking to. You make them feel significant. You make them feel important. You're probably going to close that sale because how many people actually make you feel significant in this world at the end of the day? And then, having that point of view, the C-suite, the executives that you're going after, they don't want the problem. They want to talk to people who have a point of view and who can go toe to toe with them. They will respect you more because you have an opinion that's contrary to their belief. They will sit back and think. They didn't become the C-suite because they followed the herd. Like, that's not what their job is. Their job is to grow, and every single C-suite person knows that in order to grow, you have to be different. So they will actually embrace that you have contrarian point of view, not deflate you and not dismiss you and not disregard you. They'll disregard you if you sound like everybody else. So you have to stand out from the crowd. So again, the 2%, they don't care.
Yeah. Gray doesn't sell. Technicolor sells.
It does.
What you're saying reminds me of another adage that I totally believe and totally subscribe to. Low-level people want their questions answered. High-level people want their answers questioned.
Absolutely.
So they think they know what they're doing, but obviously they need help, or they want to improve. They want to go faster. They want to go bigger. They want to succeed more. With their current belief system or their current point of view or the current actions that they're taking are not getting them there. So as a trusted advisor and as a consultant, part of our job is to turn off the things that don't work in our client's world and turn on the things that will work or that will work better. So just keeping that in mind may be reassuring to some folks about high-level people really do want their answers questioned. And if there's a better way, a faster way, a smarter way, they will listen to you.
Exactly.
Now, I know when people hear the word referral, they usually think, and let's go back to the medical weight loss company, because I want you to totally blow this open for us. I'm a patient. I've had such a great experience. I am now going to recommend this medical weight loss company to 3 of my friends. And certainly those referrals may come, but it's not a patient-to-patient referral. It's a doctor-to-patient referral. So another doctor says, you need to go to this medical weight loss company. They already have a relationship. They already have trust. They already have a financial relationship with that patient. So in our world, it's not, oh, I'm doing such a great job. All my clients are going to be referring me like crazy. It's other consultants and other service providers that already have my client. They will refer me because I have a supplementary or complementary offer. Dig into that for us and tell us how that really works.
Sure. So the referrals that are really going to help you build a sustainable business are the referrals from those complementary professionals or professionals in complementary positions. So let's take the most obvious one, an accountant and a financial planner, right? So they will be great referral partners. However, here's the key. You have to do a little bit of digging. And this, I think, unfortunately, the referral organizations that are out there has really hurt people when they build their networks. They just think it's based on a profession. So if you're an accountant and I'm a financial planner, then we should be referring to each other. And what they don't go deeper into is, do you even serve the same clients that I do? And that's key, because if you don't, then it's pointless. Like, there is no way that you are ever going to refer to me, number one. And number two, it's about the person that you're building a relationship with. Profession is almost irrelevant, because if the person doesn't have a strategy of staying top of mind with their clients on a consistent basis, getting those referrals on a consistent basis is going to be incredibly difficult. And I think that's one of the reasons why people just get onesies and twosies, because it's a very passive activity for many people. They don't dig deep and say, well, what is your client outreach program? How often do you reach out to your clients? What's the conversation you're having with your clients? Because it may not be that financial planner you need to build that relationship with. It might be somebody else on their team who is having that day-to-day or week-to-week, month-to-month interaction from a client basis. Because what you really want them to do is you want them to take your insight and share it with their clients. You don't want them to sell you. You want them to share your content, because then the client is going to self-select and say, I have that problem. So if your clients are the same type, if you have the same target market that you're going after, the chances that they have the problem that you solve is pretty high, because we all know clients of the same type have the same problems, of the same size have the same problems. We're not that unique from a business perspective. And that's the other piece that people completely miss. They make their referral partners do a lot of the work, and it just falls flat on their face. They don't give them compelling things to share with their clients that makes them look smart in front of their clients. They just give them problem stuff that people can just Google and find, and it never becomes a sustainable relationship. And that's the key. Is for me, this is a sustainable relationship, not a onesie twosie.
Talk about how, when you say one professional service provider shares the content of another professional service provider with their client base, are we talking about social media? Are we talking about a guest blog? Are we talking about a letter that goes out with the next invoice? And then how do we introduce that person as, this is my guy for tax planning or financial advice? So 3 questions all rolled into one. Number 1 is, how do we distribute our partner's expertise? Number 2, how do we tee that up so it's not like, well, this month I'm promoting Joe and next month I'm promoting Susie, and you can use either one, but it's like, this is my guy. This is my gal. This is the person I want to send you to if you have these problems.
So this goes back to what I was saying. You have to understand the personality of the referral partner and how they communicate with their clients. Maybe you have one referral partner that calls up their clients once a month. Well, then you're going to give them a script that they could almost verbatim read, because you don't want them to make stuff up on the fly. So it's almost a script that they're going to call up Susie and say, hey, Susie, just doing a check-in call. I wanted to see how you're doing. And by the way, I wanted to share an insight with you from a tax planner, and they told me, and then you just read the script. Like, it's a very easy way of getting the word out there, because it's a part of the conversation. You might have someone that does it by email. They touch base with email. Well, then you give them a little blurb. You don't give them 10 paragraphs. You give them like 2 or 3 short paragraphs that they can forward on and say, Susie, just touching base by email. And I just wanted to include, my tax planner partner, shared this really unique insight with me that I thought you might find of use, because I know you're going into tax planning season for yourself. If they do video, you send them a video. So it's really about, what does your referral partner need in order to communicate and look smart in front of their client. It's not about you. It's about, what is it that they need? How do they look good? And what are those mechanisms? So it's actually a very easy way of doing it. It's very normal, especially if the referral partner has a touch base strategy with their client base. on an ongoing basis. And this is the key. If your insight will inspire action, then they're going to want to share your insight and not someone else's insight. So I remember when COVID-19 hit and all of these rules were coming out and every single financial planner, it was the same thing, email after email after email. But then there was this one guy that said something so interesting. I unsubscribed from everything else because he had a different point of view. People want to have that different point of view. They want to be in the know. They want to have that special insider's knowledge that no one is talking about. So it's a no-brainer when you have the right content that you're going to be the one that they're going to share with, because everybody else, you can just Google.
When you say these complementary professionals, obviously this is where we're having our referral conversation. We're doing our due diligence. Tell me about your clients. Tell me about their problems. Tell me about the conversations. Tell me about your cadence of outreach. Do you use email? Do you use blogs? Do you use video, etc.? I'm imagining that this selection process of your sort of referral posse, if you will, this also flows into networking. Because a lot of times people hear the word networking and they're thinking, I'm just going to go down to the chamber and see if I can network with some prospects. And I'm guessing that we shouldn't be spending hardly any time networking with prospects because that's totally random. We should spend the lion's share of our time networking with potential referral partners, correct?
Absolutely. So networking to me, the way people think about it currently, is the equivalent of in-person cold calling.
Yes.
Like at the end of the day, like if you're just going out there prospecting for people, and if you hate cold calling, you just need it worse because now you're doing it in person. You can't even hide behind an email address. Like you have like put a bullseye on your forehead on people that you never want to do business with. But yes, you do want to be looking, and when you're networking, looking for your network partners, because it's a sieve. Not everybody is going to work. So you might have 3 accountants that you meet at a networking event. Only maybe one of them are going to mesh. They might have the criteria that you need of them reaching out to their client. Like there's a couple of criteria that you need in order for this to work. So it will take time. So if they're going to give you the highest bang for your buck when you're networking, look for your referral partners. Don't look for a prospect. Well, that's just skeevy if you go look for prospects to begin with, but definitely look for referral partners. It's an easier conversation anyway.
Yes, for sure. Now, should we have one per category, or should we have some specialists and then subspecialists? So for example, let's say a leadership consultant. We'll take this back to the world of consulting for a moment. A leadership consultant, they're brought in at, the C-suite level or senior VP level. The client would say, by the way, we're also having some problems with sales. We really need to fix our sales game. Our sales team is not good. Our sales leadership is not good. Can you help us with sales? Because obviously, if they love you, they're like, can you also do this? And if that is not in your wheelhouse, should you have one sales trainer, sales consultant, or is it situation dependent? Well, I've got one sales consultant who really specializes in Fortune 500 companies. I have a different sales consultant who specializes in more of an entrepreneurial sale. And I have this third sales consultant who is totally fantastic, but he really restricts his practice to the pharmaceutical industry. Should I have one? Should I have 3? What's the guideline?
So from my perspective, you should have as many as you want to build your business. Because at the end of the day, what you're really looking for is, do you go after the same target market? If you want one sales leader who becomes a really good referral source, well, you probably want 2 sales leaders that become really good referral sources. Probably want 3 good sales leaders that want to become really, and this is where you become a little, I would say, self-interested. Well, if 3 sales leaders will give me referrals, then this is where the content comes in. You will not be able to give them the number of referrals that you're going to get from them. You're just one person, right? So you can't feed 3 sales leaders, but you want 3 sales leaders to feed you to build your business. So you do need to have, in my opinion, multiple there's going to be personality clashes. There's going to be personality needs. There's going to, just because you have the same target audience doesn't mean that everybody's going to mesh with everybody else. And there are nuances at the end of the day. So you can go broad in the target market that they serve, but make sure that your market is one of those markets. So have multiples, because that's how you're going to build a sustainable business at the end of the day.
Now, people listening, because this is another, I think, big myth, right? Hey, Taz, I'll give you one, and then you give me one. And I'll give you a second one, and then you give me a second one. And there seems to be this one-to-one expectation that people that are not in this game as sophisticated as you are, talk about why it's okay to have this sort of imbalance. And do we have an upfront conversation with the partner saying, listen, in this particular situation, I'm guessing I'll be able to give you more than you're able to give me, and I'm totally okay with that. Or vice versa. I got to be honest here, Fred. I come across this kind of situation maybe 6 or 8 times a year. I'm guessing you come across my situation probably every week. How do we have that open conversation so that we avoid resentment or false expectations?
Great question, David. So one of the things that we teach in our program is how to have a fair value exchange conversation. Because a referral relationship has to be fair. It does not have to be equal. And when people think about, I give you a referral, you give me a referral back, that's an equal relationship. And that's never going to happen. That's unrealistic. But if it's a fair relationship where I am giving you something that is of value to you, and that has to be a conversation. You can't figure it out. That has to be a conversation of, well, what would you consider a fair exchange for a client introduction, at the end of the day. So there's a fair value exchange. But also remember, the way we teach referability, if you and I are sharing the same client base, the chances, and if you have an insight worth sharing, the chances that my client will have that issue is high. So I can share your insight and share it with my client base. Someone's going to raise their hand. And I think where there's one-to-one reciprocity comes from is this whole reciprocity mindset, right? Comes from is people think they have to be having these proactive conversations and listening for triggers and being like, oh, you just said this, I have someone. Whereas if you're just all sharing each other's complementary content, which your client base, if they're all the same, is going to have at some point, then those referrals will happen without you even realizing it. And it's a fair value exchange of relationship because you're all helping each other. Like, David, I share your content with my clients because they're valuable. They're valuable pieces of information. And some clients raise their hands and some clients don't. And that's fine. But it's a fair value exchange when I do that.
Yes. Well, let's talk about, because you're talking about fair value, and this is another source of craziness, I think, in the referral world, especially with trusted advisors and consultants. Does money change hands? So I refer Bob over to you. Bob buys a program for zillions of dollars. Am I expecting compensation? Do we have that agreed up front? Are we explicitly not accepting compensation, or does it vary partner to partner?
So when you put money on the table, now it's become transactional. And it stops being relationship based, right? So that's number one. And you don't ever want a relationship based on transaction. I could use an analogy, but I won't for your PG audience. So that's number one. And number two is putting a dollar figure on the table that is not going to move the needle for the person making the referral is not going to incentivize them to refer business. So if you're going to give me $100 and I make like $100,000, the $100 is not going to make a dent in my wallet. So it's really, all you've done is cheapen. It's an expectation of a relationship and a partnership that we're really trying to build. And there are certain industries that just you can't pay.
Right.
Healthcare, you can't pay. So I do feel that figuring out how to build a relationship on a solid foundation where money is not the thing that is changing hands. If you want to give me something, great, but it's not why I'm doing it. It's not what's going to incentivize me on any dimension.
Yes, I know. Terrific episode here, but have you seen our latest web training? Oh my goodness, pop over there right now, or as soon as you're done listening to this episode, it's doitmarketing.com/webinar. See you over there. Back to the good stuff.
Now, here's a pitch. I hope people are ready. I hope you're sitting down, people. You totally need to sign up for Taz's program. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to say it a couple times here. You totally have to sign up with Taz. Now, when I say that, and by the way, I'm serious, but I'm using this as an example. Do I then say, by the way, Taz and I have zero financial relationship. Whether you sign up with her or not, there is no commission. We have no JV partnership. There's no affiliate relationship. I profit in no way, shape, or form if you sign up with her or not. So because our relationship is clean or revenue neutral, is it important for me as someone who's recommending you and referring you to explicitly say, I'm not recommending her because I'm going to get $1,000 or whatever. I'm recommending her because she's awesome and incredible and she will serve you really, really well. Do I say that? And do I have that disclaimer that we have no financial relationship, just so you know?
Yes.
It's a good answer right there. So I'll tell you a funny story about this. So obviously we're in the marketing and sales arena and people come to us and sometimes they need a new website. So years ago, and she's no longer doing websites, unfortunately, but she was a great web designer, had a great team, did very cost-effective and beautiful websites, really professional, totally got my stamp of approval. I must have sent her like 15 clients one year. And these are like $4,000 or $5,000 websites, so it wasn't insignificant. At the holidays, she sends me a holiday card, and inside of it is an Apple gift card. And this Apple gift card had no amount on it. So I'm walking into the Apple store. I'm like, I'm going to get me a new laptop. I'm going to get me a new iPad. This is so great. I've sent her $75,000 of business. I'm guessing there's $1,000, maybe $2,000 on this gift card. I take it up to the guy at the Apple store. He says, hey, sir, I got great news. You have a $50 gift card here. And I was like, okay. So when I truly say I have no financial relationship with Erin, her name was Erin, I said, I really meant I have no financial relationship with Erin. So, I bought like an Apple Pencil or something or whatever it was. There's a certain purity and there's a certain integrity. Not that money is impure, money's not with integrity,
not at all.
But there's the come from about the referral. I'm not doing this for the $200 bottle of wine. I'm not doing this for the $1,000 cash. I'm doing this because I know this other professional can really help you.
Exactly.
And maybe it's not an either or, right? Maybe it's they continue working with us and then they also invest in this other person. So that's the other thing is sometimes people have this scarcity mindset. And so talk also about there should be a complementary relationship. Because I know you've helped me with this too, but it should not be competitive. And even like 20%, 25% overlap might be too much. How do we know when this referral partner might be threat of competition, maybe not in your mind, but maybe in theirs, versus a really great partner where there is no threat of competition at all?
Well, that again, it goes to mindset. It goes to who that person is. And this is where your network should not be just based on profession. It needs to be based on the person. Because a person that has that scarcity mindset and that competitive mindset, they're not going to get it. They're always going to be afraid. They're always going to keep things close to the vest. They're going to try to steal your insights as their own, and they're not going to be a partner. They're going to be, a competitor, and, they're holding their enemies closer and, whatever that saying is. So go with your gut. If that person, you can sense that they're in this scarcity mentality, move on. There's plenty of people that do what they do in this world where you can find another person that has more of a synergistic way of thinking about things. And it's more about that other person's lack of confidence. And you don't want a referral partner that's not confident in what they do.
Yes.
Serve you.
Absolutely right. I want to talk about one last quick thing, and then we'll start to wrap it up. You have a podcast. And I know that the podcast has changed and evolved. But as I'm hearing you talk about really building this referral network, I'm guessing for the folks that do have a podcast and are listening to us, maybe they should start to interview their potential referral partners on their podcast. True or false? And give us some pointers there.
Absolutely true. And that is how our podcast is positioned. So one of the things that we do is the podcast is called The Best Kept Secret. So we do a reach out campaign to get people interviewed on our podcast. And what we do is we spend a lot of time with them creating their content because it's about them putting out their expertise. We call it their provocative perspective. And many of them who come to us, they don't have that from the get-go. They don't have their provocative perspective. And other podcasts that they've been on, it's just been an interview of what they do and, et cetera, et cetera. But it's really not about their insight. So we really help them. And it's an entire process. We spend hours with them on coaching them, creating their content. And the reason why we do that, do some of them become our clients? Absolutely, because they liked the process, they liked what we're all about. But the true value to us is they now introduce us to other people, and now we've become referable. So those people that they introduce us to, they don't come to be interviewed on the podcast. They're just having a straight conversation about what it is that we do and how we might be able to help them become more referable because our podcast guests went through that process. So that's how we use our podcast. It's really to help people become referable or start that process, who then refer us to others who they feel would want that solution for themselves. And those conversations, we get quite a few of them that then do convert because it's different, it's unique, and they're getting referred to us. But we've built our podcast to be referability vehicle versus just a marketing asset, which is what I think a lot of people use their podcast interviews for.
So good. So smart. Wow. And the podcast is called Best Kept Secret.
It is.
Best Kept Secret. Look it up, people. It's going to be in the show notes. You're going to have links to all of this stuff. So 2 final questions, Taz, as we're wrapping up. The final question is, where can we send people? What can we give people? But even before we get to that, second to last question is, if folks were to take one overarching concept from our conversation today about how they can be more remarkably referable, what would you hope that one takeaway concept would be?
So the takeaway would be, stop making it about you. It's not me, my, or I on any conversation, be it with your prospects, be it with your clients, but definitely not with your referral partners. It's about them all the way. And you have to figure out how to make them look like the hero every step, not how to make you look like the hero on any step. And once you can nail that, then you'll have referral partners for life. And you'll
floodgates open at that point, right?
Floodgates open.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been totally fantastic. People will need to re-listen to this 2, 3, 4 times. Where can we send people to connect with more brilliance from you, from the team, the program, Lead Magnet? Where can we send people for some goodies and resources? So you can always connect with me on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only Taz Sadhukhan out there, so I shouldn't be that hard to find. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can read my about section. And if it resonates with you, connect with me, DM me. We'll love to have a 30-minute curiosity conversation, learn more about you. And then always go to our website. And there is a on-demand webinar on how to fast track your way to a thriving consulting practice.
that gives you a lot about how we think about referability. And if you go to that, then you'll be able to also do a growth launchpad with us where we actually do take 45 minutes and work through your own business to see what tweaks you need to make on the referability side of your business.
Brilliant. And all of those links are going to be directly under this episode at thesellingshow.com. And did I say that you got to sign up with Taz? Did I say that you got to experience this program for yourself? If I didn't say it enough, I'm saying it one last time. And absolutely check out the links, check out the resources, connect with Taz on LinkedIn. You are such a rock star. Thank you for being with us. This was just jam-packed with amazing insights. And thank you. Thank you,
David. Thank you for having me on the show.
And that wraps up another episode of The Selling Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, tell a friend, go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thesellingshow.com. See you next time.